Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Bithoulkas, and it's time for Ahsoka, Season 1, Episode 7, Dreams and Madness. And yes, I am broadcasting from a hotel room at Disneyland, as you can see by all the shit that's off on the side there, and also the sunburn that I've got going on here, too. And just in case you were wondering. So, see, Disneyland stuff. This is something you can only get at Disneyland, I should say. Disneyland stuff. Yeah, Big Hero 6, San Francisco. They've got that. So, hey, Cheryl. So I'm going to spoil the episode. So if you haven't seen the episode, I'm giving you a heads up right now. Spoiler alert. It's going to happen here. And before we get started, let me take care of some business first. I'm going to turn off this light over here because it's blasting everything out. There we go. It's a little bit better, but not much better. But there we go. That'll work. So I'm going to take care of a little bit of business before we get started. If you like what you see here, like, share, and subscribe. If you're on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. YouTube takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible to one of the videos. My vast video library is over 1,000 videos now, so it's going to pick something there. And if you like what you see there, please hit that subscribe button down below there. And if you can, hit that like button, the share button as well. And if you want to know when I'm going to be on live again next, go over to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule I have up there. I change that every week. And also, it has all the stuff that I'm going to be, covering later, and has all the, all the links to my social media, all that kind of stuff. So I'm actually here on business, believe it or not. Work is paying for this. I'm actually attending an expo that's here as well. So I'm getting a little Disneyland time in as well. So hence the collared shirt versus, everything else. But I'm still, I was at Disneyland all day yesterday for the most part. And I was at California Adventure this morning before I went over to the expo that I need to go to. And then I'm going back over to California Adventure, as a matter of fact, after we're done here. So there you go. So let's get started, shall we? And yeah, I watched the episode here in my hotel room last night. So let's get started, shall we? This episode, I was kind of hoping there was going to be, a little faster resolution on some stuff going on this episode, considering that next episode is the season finale. And I was kind of looking at this going, things aren't really moving. It was kind of slow, but there was a lot of stuff that was revealed as well. I mean, the whole thing with Hera got wrapped up fairly quickly, which was good because I understand that the Hera stuff was to show that the New Republic is just mired in fucking bureaucracy, and then also just people that are still loyal to the Empire that are trying to kill the New Republic in its infancy. And Xiono is one of those people, quite honestly. Xiono is, whether he likes it or not, he is actually a supporter of the Empire just because he didn't do anything during the war, and he is actively hampering the New Republic now as it is. So having a legacy character, C-3PO, come in place of Princess Leia, or I should say Senator Leia. What she's senator of, I don't know, because her home planet has been destroyed. So that was something that wasn't answered. It wasn't answered as to what Leia, what she's senator of now. Is she senator of Endor? Who is she a senator of at this point? But basically saying that Hera was working for her, and everything's good. The mission that she was working on was approved by her, and that Xiono overstepped his bounds because Leia is actually the person who oversees New Republic security details, security stuff. And he did the vote against Hera going on that mission without Leia being present. So basically slapping him in the face, as well as, kicking him when he's down, which is what you want in all of this. So that part was actually fairly well done. Yeah, C-3PO was a good trick to replace Leia. I understand. Yeah, it was. I mean, now that we can't have Carrie Fisher anymore in this, obviously, but yeah. So, um, me and a friend were discussing some of this, and I'll tell you about this at the end. Later about stars and whatnot that are aging out at this point. So, we see Hera, of course, with Hu Yang aboard the ship. They're still traveling by whale or Purgle through, across the galaxy. And Hu Yang basically says to her, well, first of all, she's training to videos that Anakin had left her. He left her 20 videos of to train by, and we see that he was really, really worried about her and not surviving. When she's out on her own. And this is Anakin in a nutshell, is that he was fearful of losing people. He was always fearful of losing people because of what happened with his mother. And which of course led to him becoming Darth Vader and going down the dark side. And it was kind of nice to see that she actually still had these 20 videos of him. And it was nice to see, Hayden Christensen come back as, Anakin as well in this. So it was really nice, a little tidbit there. But I love Hu Yang's, saying that, basically we're taking a big fucking chance riding in this whale because who knows if we're going to the right galaxy. Are we going to be going to the right planet? Because, I mean, that galaxy is big, obviously. Are we going to hit the exact planet that Sabine's at? And also that all the bad guys are at as well. And, Ahsoka's like, yeah, I think we're going to make it. Don't worry about it, kind of thing. And Thrawn, in the meantime, has basically said to Morgan, hey, any space whales that show up, just blast the fuck out of them with extreme prejudice. And sure enough, when the Purgle come out of hyperspace, the first thing you run into is a whole bunch of Imperial mines. Imperial mines that are surrounding the planet, pretty much, or right in the path of where they're coming out. And then also fighters that are taking, shooting at them. Well, actually, it's just mines at first. And the Purgle basically says, see ya. They spit out the Jedi fighter. And, we see Ahsoka and Hu Yang kind of going through those mines, using the Purgle pretty much as blocking rams. And then I like Hu Yang saying, well, at least the Purgle are taking the brunt of this, taking them away from us. And the Purgles are like, see ya, fuck you, we're out. And they take off. And of course, that's when the fighters come in and they have to hide. And, Thrawn wants to know a little bit more about Ahsoka and who her master is. And when he finally gets, the word that it was Anakin that was her master, he's like, oh, she's going to be like him, or she's going to be unpredictable. She's going to do what she wants. So basically, we just need to lead her down the path that we want her to lead her down. Which he knows that Anakin was kind of malleable that same way, is basically all you have to do is play into their fears and you can guide them to where you want them to go. Not knowing that Ahsoka has pretty much given up those fears at this point. That's what she went through when she went through the world, the world between worlds, and dealing with Anakin's stuff as well. Yasi says, that's what I love in Ahsoka, is making the subtle plots based on the psychology of the past and present care. Exactly. And he says, I loved that we are taking the deep dive into Ahsoka's traumas and growth. Exactly. So this is one of the things that, yes, Filoni is, well, he had 7 seasons to work with Anakin. So, I mean, he is, the go-to at this point, considering that Lucas is essentially retired from Star Wars. And Filoni was the one that, studied at Lucas's feet. He was basically Lucas's apprentice at this point. So yes, he is the perfect person to take this over. In the meantime, we have Sabine and Ezra down on the planet, and Ezra's just kind of like, hey, it's great to see you. Glad you're here. Can we get the fuck home now? Now that you caught everything up, but you haven't said how you got us here. And I love how, they kind of fall into their rhythms again, like they did in Rebels, where he goes, and she goes, well, I really don't want to talk about it. He goes, oh, is it bad or is it worse? And she goes, it's worse, a lot worse. And he's like, Fuck. Okay. It's the same old shit that we always get into, kind of thing. So he knows that whatever she had to do, she did something really, really bad at this point. Um, and yeah, so it's one of those things that if you haven't watched Rebels, you don't kind of get the banter and the, I guess you can say, the anticipation between the characters. And that's actually what I liked about this. The anticipation from between the characters in the animated series actually translates over into this live action series as well. And that's actually what's really great about this is it is Rebel season 5. And it's a great thing that they're doing this. Um, so of course, Balin and Shin are they know where Ezra is, and of course they're going after him, or I should say, Shin's going after him because Balin says, "You know what? This is where you and I are going to part ways. You're going to do great in the Empire. Just one last parting word of advice." He says, "Don't let your your haste and wanting to win the battle take over, because that's when you'll lose. See ya, peace out, bitch," is what he says, and he leaves. And I thought that was actually that's pretty much kind of Balin. It really is. And in a nutshell, he goes off to do his own thing. Shin, in the meantime, calls in the Raiders, and I love how Ezra just kind of circles the naughty people around there and says, just stay in your shells. I'll take care of this. And when he and Ezra, or he and Sabine are going to go and fight the Raiders and also Shin, she offers him the lightsaber, and he's like, "What's that?" And she goes, "It's your lightsaber." He goes, "No, it's yours." He goes, "I don't use it anymore." He goes, "I use the Force." And she's like, "Okay." So yeah, she's basically kind of he's using the Force and kicking ass barehanded at this point, right? And he's taking down stormtroopers because the stormtroopers arrive with the Raiders, and everything is just um, kind of playing into it's playing into the new trilogy as well a bit, or not the new trilogy, I should say. It played more into Rogue One. I'm one with the Force and the Force is with me kind of thing. Donnie Yen's character, so that is where that is playing into as well. So we have a little bit from everything kind of rolling into this series, from past Star Wars to future Star Wars, and it's doing it well. That's the whole thing. I didn't get why they had to part ways, because he is going after something more. So Balin, people have deciphered this. He has tattoos on his forearm that are in Abarish, which is the Star Wars language, and people have decoded it. And it's the names of Luke Skywalker, Princess Leia, Han Solo, Chewbacca, R2D2, C3PO. He has a list of people. So really, what he's doing is he's going after the Skywalker family at this point. That's what he's doing. Is he wants to unmake the Skywalkers, if you will. And so that's what that list of names in Abarish, that the list of tattoos down his forearm is. So yes, that is what the theory is that he's going to unmake the Skywalkers. And to do that, he needs to find the mother from the Mortis gods, and because she can unmake the Force, is what that is, and that's really what he wants to do. So that's what the theory is that's out there. I agree with it at this point, because it's Filoni and it's fucking batshit crazy, and it seems like an idea that would work. Yasi says, "Wasn't that so well written? Why should a Jedi without his lightsaber for 15 years to lead?" Exactly. Oh, and the other thing is too, Ezra's chainmail that he has underneath his robes supposedly are made out of dog tags of all the stormtroopers that he's killed or taken down. So yeah, that's actually kind of another little tidbit that's out there, which I didn't know about. They haven't really said that. It's just been, put out there. And I thought that was kind of interesting. He's taken down enough stormtroopers to, make chainmail out of their fucking dog tags. And we also had another thing that was debunked. Some people were saying that the night troopers, the night stormtroopers, were undead. And of course, we see when they die, they don't have green smoke coming out of them. So of course, they are not undead. They just have some really beat up fucking armor that need to be patched up. So yeah, there's all kinds of stuff that's out there right now. So of course, Ahsoka ends up joining our little group there, and Thrawn is thrown off by Balin not being in the group. And so when his group is getting their asses kicked, their asses handed to them pretty much, he calls them back and says, bring back the stormtroopers. We've gotten what we needed. He goes, we were able to what we got was time. We got time to load up the ship, and we're going to leave them here. Fuck them. They're here in this galaxy. We're going to be in the other galaxy taking over. There's nothing they can do. And he goes, that's pretty much all we need. And he calls back the stormtroopers, and Shin is standing there going, where the fuck is everyone going? I have them. And of course, Shin fighting, Sabine again, and she's also fighting Ezra, and she has to fight Ahsoka as well. She's clearly outmatched at this point. And when she's left behind, Ahsoka actually reaches out to her and says, come here, I'll help you, And Shin's like, nope, fuck that, I'm out. And she takes off. So Shin's going to be off on her own now at this point. Is she going to follow? Is she going to try and follow Balin at this point? Is she going to go off on her own? Eventually, we know that she's going to have to come over to the light side at this point. She's going to have to let go of her hate and her fear. I don't know if it's her hate so much, if it's her fear. I mean, because you remember she really is a Boken Jedi as well. Not a Boken Jedi, but a Boken Force user, if you will, just to use Balin's terms in a way, because she started learning all of this after the fall of the Jedi. So this is what this is all about, at this point too. Lots and lots of stuff being put out there. And one of my favorite lines, and I know it's like everyone's favorite line, is Thrawn talking about the Jedi hiding. He goes, oh, the Jedi, they're out there hiding because that's what they're good at. He goes, it's just hiding. And it's really kind of a bitch slap across the face. Because if you think about it, what was Yoda and Obi-Wan's reaction to the Palpatine taking over? It was, hey, we're going to go into exile and we're going to wait until the next group of kids come up, and they can take over and they can help out. We'll train them somewhat half-assedly. We'll give you some of the knowledge. We will give you some of the story, but not all of the story. And yeah, maybe you can take over for us at this point. And Thrawn is right in some way that the Jedi are just as much as fault for all of this shit is happening as the Sith are as good at, or I should say Palpatine was as good at manipulating all of this. He manipulated into the Jedi's weaknesses and fears is what he did. And that was how he was able to get this done, take over an entire galaxy. So, Yasi says, or her age and lack of experience enhancing her fear. That too. I mean, I'm fairly sure Balin, played into it and, told her there was nothing else out there for her, nowhere else for her to go. That basically it was either, she sides with him or, she goes and becomes a pawn of the Emperor, becomes an inquisitor, that kind of thing. She is of the age, well, you think the Emperor's been dead for 6 years at this point? Because we do now have a definitive timeline of this. This takes place after Mandalorian 3, season 3, because of what they mentioned in the, on Coruscant, where they said, with what happened, now I'm blanking on his name now all of a sudden. The dude who broke the dark saber. But anyway, yeah, they basically said, oh, well, he was a outlier. He was not part of the, Imperial remnants is what he was. He was working on his own kind of thing. And yeah, that was not the case. I mean, he obviously was working on Palpatine's old orders. So, yeah. So you think that, Shin Hati would have been, when the Emperor was around, she probably would have been 10, probably when Balin found her, 8 or 10, somewhere around there. And of course, kept her from, the eyes of Palpatine at this point and trained her as well. Or even younger. I mean, he could have gotten her as a, 4 years old or something like that as a little kid and trained her from then. And that was all she knew was, it's either the Empire or you're on your own and nothing, and most likely the Empire is going to get you anyway, or the Emperor, and you'll be turned into a weapon, like a mindless weapon, like an Inquisitor. So yeah, that would fuck up a lot of people, having a lifetime of that drilled into you. And yeah. And so, of course, that's where we're left off now, is that it's just a race to see who's going to get back to the galaxy first, or if everyone's going to get, if Ahsoka's going to, be able to hitch a ride, along with Ezra and Sabine on that. We'll see what happens. I mean, Ezra, you think at this point should have been, if he's that strong in the Force, that, well, he was able to talk to the Purgle to begin with, that he wasn't able to reach out to the Purgle and kind of call them and say, hey, I need a ride back. Can you help me out? Oh, and we also found out that Sabine is Force sensitive as well, because Ahsoka reaches out to her via the Force. The same thing like Luke reaching out to Leia. And Leia, saying, she hears Luke's thoughts and is able to answer him. It's the same thing. Ahsoka reaches out to Sabine. Sabine is able to answer her. So we know that Sabine is actually Force sensitive. So all this stuff that's coming into this episode. And of course, we have one episode left in all of this. And I can almost guarantee you this is going to lead into Filoni's movie that they keep talking about that's going to happen, which is Heir to the Empire, which I believe is going to be a trilogy. I wouldn't doubt it that they're actually going to do the whole Heir to the Empire series. It would be smart of Disney to do it. It's a good series, and it's that filler in between what happened between, Return of the Jedi and what is it? Whatever J.J. Abrams' crappy movie was. To fill in the gaps there. Yasi says, and going back to Balin Shin, this is the same old betraying or sacrificing of the so-called apprentice in the dark side. Yes, exactly. It is the betrayal and the sacrificing. You're right. The bitter Maul story for them. Yeah, the apprentice is disposable. Exactly. The apprentice is very disposable at that point. And I don't know if it's so much as him disposing of her or just saying, you know what? He goes, your path's different than mine. He goes, I taught you all I could. Good luck, kid. See ya, kind of thing. And because she's been questioning him as well. And it's only a matter of time before she decides to kind of turn on him, which is what a Sith apprentice is supposed to do. A Sith apprentice is supposed to turn on their master, kill them to take their place. There's always two Sith, even though they are not Sith. I know they're not Sith, but they dabble in that gray area, if you will. And so it's always a possibility out there where, she's going to try and kill him to take over his place, even though she probably couldn't. And we got to see Ahsoka fighting again with the two sabers at that point, which is how Anakin, by the way, trained her to begin with in order to protect herself, was with the two sabers. That's why he trained her that way. She started fighting with one saber, which we saw at the very beginning of the season. And now, after she was defeated by Balin, she's gone back to the two sabers. And when we see her fighting him, she's doing a good job with the two sabers there. Of course, until Huang comes in and blows up the place a little bit to kind of break it up so that she can get out there and help Ezra and Sabine. So, like I said, there was everything in this to tie things up. Even though this was a slow, in relative terms, episode, uh, it did have a lot of stuff in there, and I'm very interested to see how they're going to wrap. Well, I know they're not going to wrap this up. I'm almost 90% sure that this is going to end on a cliffhanger. This whole season, and that's where we're going to go into Heir to the Empire. And don't be surprised if we get an announcement after the next episode that Heir to the Empire is in production or is going to be in production. I mean, the writer's strike now is over. So we've got that. And then the actor strike is the only thing that's actually still in negotiations, or yeah, is going to be in negotiations at this point. So yeah, the WGA is, they've reached their terms from what it looks like, or have tentatively reached their terms. So it's just a matter of signing the paperwork and getting all that stuff squared away, and that's done. And then of course the Screen Actors Guild will get out, that stuff. So possibly by next month, the middle of next month, maybe the end of next month, we'll be out of the strike, and everything will go back into production at that point. So yeah. Yasi says, I loved Ahsoka. I'm so happy Filoni is the heir to the Star Wars. Yeah, I am as well. Surprisingly enough, so there's a lot of Ahsoka merchandise that's out there right now at Disneyland. I'm here, obviously, and I'm looking for it. The only thing I can find for men, if you will, I mean, it's geared mostly towards women. I understand why it's geared towards women. Don't get me wrong, but for men, the only thing they have is the shirt, a T-shirt that has the Ahsoka title, and I like it. Is it $33? Like, not really. So I wishing there was some other stuff that was out there as well. Sure, I could get the Disney ears with the Ahsoka, Montrail and whatnot. Just not my style. I got the Boba Fett ears, but yeah. Yasi says, "Can I make a comparison that might make you mad? I love the mature, contemplative Ahsoka. Reminded me of Alec Guinness. No, it's not making that doesn't make me mad. I agree. It's this is the fun Ahsoka that we saw from the series. Um, that's what she's turned into. Ahsoka the White, if you will. That's what everyone's calling her. There was Ahsoka the Gray, which was before the World Between Worlds, and then Ahsoka the White, because and again, it's the whole Gandalf thing. And now she's more like her animated counterpart versus. I even said it when I was doing the reviews here in the first couple episodes. I'm like, I'm really not liking the way that Rosario Dawson's playing this, not realizing that was how Filoni was writing her, was to be this character who was apprehensive, who was self-doubting, who had fear, who had anger issues, all this stuff built into her because of what she went through. And, resolving all of that as much as she can, obviously, bringing her to a balance, at this point. That's really what it comes down to. And I really dig that. I love that he actually wrote that in there. It's actually really well done. So, with that said, I'm going to let you guys go. What else do I have going on for the rest of this week? Well, I'm going to be off, of course, until Saturday. But Saturday, I'll be back with episodes 1, 2, and 3 of The Boys spinoff. Gen V is what it's called. So that's going to be on Amazon, and I'll be covering that. I'll be covering that whole series, obviously. That whole series. There we go. Oh, hang on a sec. Needed to skip ads because otherwise it was going to be showing you ads here in a couple of seconds. And then, of course, Sunday I'll be doing hopefully I'll be doing spoiler alert. We'll see how I feel, if I'm actually up for it. How many steps am I at right now? I'm at 18,000 steps according to my watch there. So, uh, and that's actually kind of on a slow day. Yesterday I hit somewhere in the neighborhood of 23,000 steps. So, yeah, yeah. Do I watch Lower Decks? I have gone through the series, Yasi. I enjoyed it for what it was, but nothing that I would cover. Quite honestly, it's really too hard to cover animated series. I've tried, especially with like Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn, I was doing okay keeping up with it, and then I just by this season, the latest season that came out, I couldn't do it. I just couldn't keep a balance. I think it suffered a little bit in the writing this season, and that's the whole thing with some animated shows. It's hard to cover them because of well, one, they're not taken seriously enough so that they're always played for comedy and not so much drama, and so you don't have a lot of change in the characters. The characters are always static. And again, this is going back from what I learned in my animation classes and stuff like that. Is you kind of want to keep those. Once you hit on something, you hit on an idea. That's pretty much what people want to see. They want to see that all the time. It's the same status quo, and your characters really don't change. I mean, Adventure Time, I think, is the only show where you actually have change in your animated characters as you're going through it. Invincible uh, is going to have that as well because the comic actually was the first comic that went through and shows a character from beginning, the beginning of their superhero arc, and then they live their life through that comic. There isn't just the character perpetually remains 20 or 30 years old or whatever, like Spider-Man, Superman, whatever. Um, so that's the problem with the animated series is you always have your characters stay static, and sure they wind up in weird circumstances. Look at Homer Simpson, how many jobs he's fucking had over the 35 years that he's been on. Yes, it's 35 years. So yeah. um, and so it becomes really hard to kind of cover that for something like this, at least for me. I know there's other channels out there that do it, and God bless them, whatever they want to do. They if they can do it, that's great. I can't, unfortunately. But yes, it's an interesting show. It's fun in some respects. I did like the live action crossover with Enterprise, or not Enterprise, uh, Strange New Worlds. Strange New Worlds is actually good too. Yes, Invincible is coming back. I think it's November. If you go over to suspendedfanimation.com, it's a great segue, by the way. If you go over to suspendedfanimation.com, you'll see my schedule up there. Plus, if you look down underneath my schedule, you'll see the what's coming up next. Not everything is in there, but a good majority of stuff is in there. And Invincible is in there, and I believe it comes out in November. And I will be covering season 2. Yes. And you can also find the links to my social media there and all the links to my pages as well. And if you like what you see here, please hit that subscribe button down below there. And if you can't, hit that like button, the share button as well. And if you're still on the fence about subscribing and you know who you are out there, take a look at the video that pops up at the very end here. YouTube takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible to one of the videos in my vast video library and pops it up here just for you. And if you like what you see there, please hit that subscribe button down below there. So, with that said, I'm going to let you guys go. I will see you guys again on Saturday. That's when I'll be back home and back in my regular environmental stuff there. So, until then, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may miss that ship back to the other galaxy because, the blue guy, the big blue guy has, loaded all the shit on board the ship and he's trying to get the hell out of there. So see if you can hit your ride as fast as you can. Thanks, everyone. I will see you again on Saturday. Until then, stay safe, be well, take care. Wear those masks. I know I am because I'm at a place where there's a shit ton of people everywhere and people are coughing and sneezing and all kinds of stuff. So, yeah, shit's going around again. Thanks, everyone. I will see you again Saturday. Have a good rest of your night and take care out there, everyone. Thanks. Have a good night. Good night.